Hi, everyone. So we were actually welcoming our friends on Facebook, telling them about the purpose of today. And we're super excited because we have many people from almost all over the world. So we have actually 3 continents represented today. So it's kind of exciting, isn't it?
It really is.
I'm Celine. Really nice to meet you. Nice to be with you. This chat will be in English. French translation will be added to the recording. So, merci pour votre compréhension. Let's continue in English. I'm Celine. Really nice to meet you and to be with you today. Thank you for joining. Again, this is Facebook. This is the webinar.
I'm Aurélie. Nice to meet you all.
So why are we here today? As you all know, we're here to talk about the new generation, what we call, Gen Z. And we want to understand what really motivates them, what pushes them out of bed in the morning, what are their expectations when it comes to organization they choose to work for and to buy from, to vote with their dollars. So actually, why are we asking those questions? Why now? It's a legitimate question. Well, all of this, today we hear a lot about AI, big data, Internet of Things, IoT, robotic. We are talking about, entrepreneurship.
So many buzzwords.
Innovation, exactly, buzzwords. So buzzwords are more like, around the technology.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there is no good technology without talent, right? Without the people to do it. And in fact, what you have in front of you, it's from PwC. So for you people here, according to PwC, the latest survey they published in 2018, 38% of CEO globally say that they're extremely concerned about the availability of skills at a threat of business growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually talking about the skills here on the top right, which are problem solving, leadership, adaptability, creativity, innovation. So this is crucial for organizations to understand, and they're actually facing these challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So who actually can benefit from our conversation already today? Well, I think everyone at the end of the day can benefit from understanding better the new generation. HR leaders, to make sure you onboard well the people and your line in terms of their, what they're expecting from organization. Customer success and sales, my God. When you're talking to customers, new customers, how can we reach out? How can we talk to them the way they're expecting from us to do so? Product development, how can we actually develop product without thinking about the people for what it is designed? Right? Well, you can't, you should not. Yeah. Right? So stay with us until the end, because we are going to give you tangible insights that you will be able to think about and implement. So you'll have ideas of, improvement and how you can better tap into their genius.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, who we are, right? Who are we? Why listen to us, right? This is a legitimate question. So we are UpstartED Studio. We empower people and organizations to be future ready by harnessing the power of intergenerational innovation. We actually worked with more than 4,000 Gen Zers over the last 3 years. Because we've born from UpstartED, which is an organization that empowers people, young people from the age of 12 and 21, yes, to become social innovators and to develop skills and mindset that they need today to thrive and tomorrow when they'll enter the workforce. Mm-hmm. And we, of course, educate them, but we bring them value by actually tackling real challenges that today organizations and industry are facing. For example, we actually built a program that is called UpGen. It's a 9-month entrepreneurship program in which the young people will understand what's entrepreneurship, what's social innovation. We'll tell them about the UN sustainable development goals, and we'll guide them through the problem-solving process, and will help them solve real challenges that organizations are facing today in healthcare, cybersecurity, education, retail innovation. So yeah, we've been around for quite some time now. Who are we? Well, myself, hi again, Céline. I've been working in sales for quite a long time, for 15 years actually, in big organization, global organization, and startups, tech startups. And with my experience, and in sales especially, I was actually facing kind of a lack of and resistance when it comes to new ways of seeing things, of doing things. It's all related to openness, to innovation, and I actually have to be honest with you, I suffered from it a lot. So I was actually experiencing that, and I got exposed to UpstartED and the work that they do at UpstartED, and what now we do at UpstartED, and through the studio too. And I decided to create the bridge, the gap between those two universes, right? How can we help the youth and organization to meet and to work together? That's why we actually launched the studio. Aurélie, I will let you introduce yourself.
Sure thing. So my name is Aurélie, and so I'm in management at McGill University with a minor in computer science. But beyond that, I got involved with UpstartED in 2018, so last year around this time, to become the associate director of the UpGen program, which Celine spoke about earlier. So we actually invited 100 students to Shopify's office in Montreal to launch 20 business ideas that are tangible and that are centered on retail innovation and sustainability, or the circular economy. And this was definitely like one of the best decisions of my life, because I was during my university studies, I was in a place where I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I was still trying to figure things out, just as I am still now. But UpstartED came at a great time for me, because I really aligned with the mission of empowering the youth. And I think there's so much potential after I got to know like all the teams that passed through the incubator as well as the boot camp.
Thank you. So who is Gen Z? So as I feel a little bit like a fraud to talk about Gen Z, I will let Aurélie do so, because I'm a millennial, so forget about me, right?
I mean, not forget about you, but...
I'm kidding. That's the title of the webinar, though.
That's true. So yeah, I thought this was like a perfect segue for me to talk about like the generation that I live in, which is Generation Z. So there are about 2 billion Generation Zs worldwide, and we are expected to reach the highest percentage of population within the United States. I think about 86 million in total in 2026. And we will also be making up, we're already making up 40% of all customers worldwide in 2020, which is next year. So this is not something that's happening in the future. It's something that we need to talk about now. And I wanted to bring this definition of what Gen Z is, because, I do want to give a formalized definition, but I also want us to all consider that we are all different. There's so many of us, but this is the average Generation Z. So we're considered, according to McKinsey, as a very social, mobile, and digital generation. So we're called the digital natives. We are defined as people who don't necessarily have one common identity, but multiple identity that make us unique, like on an individual level. We're also very pragmatic and realistic in the way we make decisions. We care about the community. We care about, because we have more information and access to stuff that's happening around the world, with connected platforms, we want to be able to make a change in the world that we live in. And lastly, in terms of consumption, we're all very, very unique because we have, our own identities. So that makes it very crucial for brands to also understand that we interact with them in a different way every single individual. And we're very ethical about our choices too. And so this says the search for the truth is at the root of all Generation Z's behavior, which means we are ready to uncover the own truth according to us. That's not one truth that applies to everyone. So we don't identify ourselves as having this common identity. We have a very undefined identity that we still want to explore that's unique to us. And we're very community driven. We're called communaholics. We want to be inclusive and build with other people within our community as well. And every issue that comes up in the world, we want to have a dialogue around it. We don't want to just bottle it up. We want to talk about them, and we want to have a conversation about it. Lastly, we are more realistic. So we just want to uncover the truth behind all things. We want to know the why. Why is this happening? Why is everything like this? How can we make a change if something is in disagreement with our values?
Yeah. And with everything, I guess it is a perfect segue to look at this picture of people, Gen Z, on the wall, on their phone, not talking to each other, being together, but not really being together. After what we just talked about and discovered, it is kind of a cliche to see this generation like this. And we hope that by the end of the webinar, you'll have a better, understanding of who they are. And because I'm kind of tired, while preparing this webinar, I was looking for pictures and everything. And I kept on coming back to this visual of Gen Z, people that are so individualist. This is also something that we hear as a millennial. You are so individualist. Well, this is not true, and I'm saying that because we know them being super entrepreneurial, super open, community driven, so socially conscious and responsible. They are here to build. They want to build the future, and they want to do it today. So actually, other companies are already understanding that and already working and empowering young people. Do you remember what we said earlier about the today's skills ballot round, right? Leadership, problem solving, adaptability, creativity, and innovation. Well, actually, companies like those ones, RBC, Google, Future Engineer Program of Amazon, Kids Co Jeunesse, based here in Quebec with operations in Canada, are actually already investing, and for quite a long time now, in people. And I would like maybe Aurélie to pause here, and I would like you to share your experience with RBC, because you've been through the program. So
yeah, sure. So these are just to name a few companies, but my personal experience was my previous internship this summer actually at RBC's Amplify program. So it's a program they created to not only empower the youth, but actually gather interns all around the world, I would say, to Toronto's office in order to innovate for the bank. So they want us to form teams and then solve a real challenge that's been around in the bank that other people might not have had time or the resources or just the energy to think about, that we can help with. And I was working as a business analyst. I paired myself up with data scientists, developers, UI, UX designers. And I think this is a perfect example that illustrates how much they're willing to believe in our talent and the ability for us to create something tangible just within 4 months. So in 4 months, I built actually a machine learning driven platform that recommends offers and rewards to customers of RBC. So they have a separate segment or business line called RBC Offers within the personal and commercial banking segment. And we were able to actually deploy an MVP that works not only in that department, but could also be applied in many different divisions of the company. So just the fact that they created Amplify really made me feel like I had an ownership over, a project or an internship, that I wasn't just, working in the company, but I actually was impacting the company in a sense.
Yeah, and it is probably why you choose this internship instead of many others.
Exactly. I think it came in right at the
Mm.
at the perfect timing, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So how can you actually best work with the new generation and serve the new generation? So what you need to focus on, we believe, are three main areas.
Yeah.
You need to understand their digital behavior. You need also to understand what they are expecting from organizations, and what are the consumption habits, right?
Yeah.
I will let you maybe continue on the digital behavior.
Yeah, sounds good. So in order to understand this like shift in behavior, we need to think about 3 points. And the first one is definitely just our overall digital behavior. And it's funny because we say digital behavior instead of behavior, because most of our behavior is also digital. And I'm a victim of that. Well, a victim, quote unquote. I spend so much time on my phone and like, you know, browsing through like the web, my phone.
Yeah.
That I don't even consider this as my digital behavior. I just consider it as my own daily behavior.
Yeah.
So it's true that we are called the digital native generation. We use smartphones on average 15.4 hours per week, which is insane, but I don't even realize it, right?
Is it relevant to you, this 15? Do you feel like you're actually 15 hours per week on your phone, more or less?
It's a good question. I don't feel it because it's just so ingrained. Like if there's anything I have to do, if I'm bored, I'm just going to pull out my phone. I think it's just natural at this point. And that being said, it becomes easier and easier for us to have access to more and more information across the world. If everyone is having or adopting this like digital behavior, especially my generation, then it's so easy for us to contribute to content, you know, user-generated content on platforms such as YouTube, even the media, social media. There's just so much information that we have access to every day that we are overwhelmed and we have a shorter attention span. But this also brings me to the point where I need to talk about the fact that we just have more knowledge in general. We have more information and knowledge to form our own opinions about things even faster. And this is when people usually talk about like the knowledge economy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And to you out there, give you a bit more of, you know, tangible insights related to their digital behavior. Well, we wanted to give you real things that you can, you know, take and live with and think about. We were thinking about examples out there of organizations that build and assemble a youth board. Isn't it such an amazing idea? And then you can also think about the reverse mentorship program that you can build, which is actually having young people giving advices and coaching oldest people. Of course, upskilling your talent so you make sure they understand what it is today the technology need, and how do they, you know, behave with technology is crucial to be able to then make them work together. We've seen, and we've also participated to that, launch an open innovation challenge at the high school level. It's some powerful ideas that you can implement.
Definitely. And that also leads me to my second point, which is now that we have more access to information and knowledge, then we're expecting more of everything that's happening around us, and especially around our career. And I could speak to that from like personal experience. So my experience with, you know, finding whatever I want to do in my life or in my career was something like this. So I'm just gonna move to this slide. Yeah. So over time, I started realizing like what starts fulfilling me even more. So at first I was in CEGEP in health science and I was content with it, but not like completely satisfied. It was something that I wanted to pursue because I've always wanted to help people, but I just wanted to discover what's more out there in the world, which is why I switched from health science to business. So I went to Disseltel, or like the business school at McGill. And this is where I really saw like, you know, bright minds, a lot of smart people. And by connecting with them, you also get a negative pressure on you to force you to either go into like investment banking or consulting, which is like the classic like business school person's like dilemma. And I think because these two roles are very prestigious and traditionally speaking very like, if you're taking a role in these fields, you're viewed as, you know, a better person. And I definitely didn't want to be the person viewed as like less than or like below average. So
Yeah.
I chose to go and try out consulting. And consulting, you know, I tried to like network with people and get to know like their work. And then through like doing events just such as like case competitions and all that, I realized it's not fulfilling to me because I don't know what kind of impact I'm going to be making. Or I'm sure there will be an impact, but I just can't see it right now.
It's not tangible to you.
Yeah, I just can't see it right now. So this is around that time, UpstartED actually like appeared in my life. And I thought they had a very compelling mission to empower the youth, which is like very corny, obviously. But I just thought it was very compelling to me. And they actually used tangible tools in order to empower the youth. And I wanted to see what that impact would look like. So I got involved with that. I led the team to build the boot camp for 100 students. And then I saw 20 business ideas emerge from just 3 days of like intensive work. And I really felt the impact. Like I had, you know, we had like testimonials of like students just like messaging us and being like, oh, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I think this is the impact that I want to see. This is what keeps me satisfied and keeps me going, which is why I also decided to participate myself in a program like that, which is the RBC Amplify program. And yeah, I think I still have a long way to go, but this made me realize one thing, which is I chose my career I want to build my career not by the role description or like what the role is going to be or what kind of organization I'm going to be in, but by the impact I want to be making in the world. So I want to choose an organization where I really align with their values, their mission, and I know an impact can be made.
And you can actually see it and it's tangible.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So, you know, we're a more entrepreneurial generation. We're more society centric and we are very adaptable as well. We learn from all different sources. We really believe in the concept of like lifelong learning. So this is how I would summarize our generation at last.
Yeah, and adaptability is something really core to them. They're not scared of innovation, transition, pivoting. This is their reality. So this is something for us to really understand. And in terms of things that you can, in your workplace, implement, well, it can be an internal incubator where you encourage intergenerational and cross-functional new generation of ideas, innovation internally. Of course, go from training programs, traditional training programs, to personalized learning experiences. This is crucial to equip your team with the skills that they need already today to better co-create, communicate, problem solve together, and then being able to work with this new generation. And something that I would like you to maybe implement next week, if you have someone to hire, let's try to focus on the impact, as Aurélie said, the impact that the person is going to have through her or his job, right? And incorporate innovation impact metrics in the job description rather than, okay, this is a sales position, you're going to be doing this X, Y, Z, end of the day. And even by switching and this narrative, from this posture, right, you are also going to be more engaged and more intentional while choosing the person who is actually the best fit for you, and making sure that actually the impact that the person is gonna have and the impact that they want to have is
like it aligns, right?
It aligns.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very true. And like to the third point, I feel like I could speak to that more. Celine, when she reached out to me to come back to UpstartED as part of the studio initiative, she asked me a really good question, which I wish more employers or like more companies ask me when they hire me, which is, what do you want to learn? Or what are your learning objectives? How can I best help you? And I feel like this is it's like not a question to be disregarded, because it makes you feel valued and makes you feel like you really, like they really care about what your learning goals as well. So empower your people first, I would say.
Yeah. And there is something, this remind me of some discussion that I have with organization regarding talent retention. What is this even, this notion of talent retention? I'm sorry, but I don't want like really badly to retain Aurélie, because I know she's going to have to do, and she will have, and I want her to experience many things, right? But I want her to give her best while she's with us. So I'm not trying to retain her. I'm just trying to
make the most
out of it and empower her a little bit. Let's be honest. People are not going to today stay with us 10, 15 years. And this has to be okay.
Very true. I just realized I left out some statistics about like our generation being like entrepreneurial, but it's true that 72% of Gen Zers actually that are in high school right now want to say like they absolutely want to start a business in the future. And I'm part of it. I'm not in high school, but like I'm part of this 72%. And then 93% of Generation Z also say that their decision to work in a company is greatly influenced by the organization's impact on society. So they don't see the impact and the workplace as two different things. They see it as one thing.
Can we pause here? Can you say again how many percent? 93 people out there. 93%. Yeah.
So anyway, this leads me to my third point, which is the consumption habits. So we talked about, our demands in the workplace, our digital behavior, but these two also really impact like our consumption patterns. So this is something that me and Celine actually talk about a lot in the office,
we do.
Which is like, let's say she asked me like, oh, Orly, where did you buy your backpack? And I'll be like, oh, I got it at Lululemon's or whatever. And then she'll be like, what was your thought when you, like, what was your decision-making process like? And I was like, oh, I first grabbed my phone and I was like, I need a new backpack. And then I went on the websites, I went on social media to see like what backpacks are trending. I compared my options on different websites. I compared prices a lot on different websites as well. I asked my friends what backpacks they used on Facebook and like throughout messaging. And I think it's drastically different from like the way Celine would like make a decision when it comes to purchase.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because we had an interesting and funny discussion around that. But I actually went through the same process. So, and I was really curious about, how you've actually gone through it. And me, I was more also looking on internet, but looking for backpacks that are made here in Quebec, that are sustainable, that are, made from, like, of course, strong fabrics and sustainable materials and everything. And which is, we align on some point, but I don't go through all this journey of looking for informations about trendy. I'm so sorry, I don't want to judge, right?
No,
but
don't
that's
worry.
just the difference. And again, all millennials are not like me, but that's it. This is really different. Like, I'm looking on internet once, twice, and that's it, right? And I go and I went actually to the shop to see. And she's more like, going to many, so on many social medias, asking friends. I did not even ask anyone. So that's interesting.
It's really interesting. And like, that is to say that it's not, so what I'm going to talk about, like just now, like 3 points that I'm going to bring up, don't define the generation like on an individual level, because I still think I have fundamental differences with the like average Gen Z. And I also think I have similarities with Celine in terms of like consumption habits. So
of course, it's not black and white, right?
Exactly. So that's also to say that we are the undefined ID. Which reinforces the first point that I brought up.
Absolutely.
So in terms of consumption habits, you see the shift from e-commerce, but now we're even talking about mobile commerce, which is commerce like e-commerce, but on our mobile phones. So this is a shift that's like very different from like how you guys used to shop. And we're also generally more socially conscious, and we really prioritize experiences that are intentionally designed for us. So personalization. And this is very true because we have access to more information, we also expect other people to understand us better. So we are so fundamentally different that we want every single product and services to be tailored to us.
Yeah, can you actually tell us a little bit more about what's your vision of personalization, right? Because it is not just using your name. Hey, Aurélie, this is a selection of product for you. right?
No, definitely not. This is like maybe one aspect of personalization, or like one form of personalization. But for us, it's really to have that conversation around like, what do you really expect? And I think that doesn't just apply to consumption, but also at the workplace or anywhere in general. Like,
care about what you expect.
Exactly. I feel like us too having this conversation, and all of us having this conversation around like what is different. I think this is a great way to tailor, or this is like the great initial first step to design an intentionally like personalized experience. So I think more conversations should be happening just to discover like what are the fundamental differences between like each like generation or each person within the generation.
Absolutely. I just want to pause here. If you have questions already, you can post them on the chat. There is a little button, chat. Then you'll be able to write your questions, and we'll take time to answer to it after.
Yeah.
So some interesting steps that you can, think, ideas that you can bring home after. It's related to, the why, because it is clear now that new generation, they don't buy stuff, right? They do it consciously, right? So it is crucial, and I'm not inventing anything, we all know that today, that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Thanks, Simon Sinek, right? So it is even important to ask yourself, do I know really why we're doing this? What is our why, right? What is our purpose? And I mean, sorry, but it is really dear to me. Making money is not a purpose. It is a vehicle. This is not a purpose, right? What is your purpose? What is the impact that you want to have? What is that something that make you, feel proud of as a group, right? And you should actually think about co-creating as a group with your people, including the young generation. And then make sure, and this is really dear to my heart, make sure your first representatives out there, which are the sales people, are the right ones to represent and to carry these values, right? And to actually claim out there what is your raison d'être. And the last one will be, we are all already disrupting, right? This is not a surprise. What it's important to understand is that you need to include the young people in the process, in the problem-solving process as soon as possible, to build new projects, new features, new product, from idea to product launch. This is crucial, as you have to integrate people who are already working for you. So this is a perfect segue to this. If actually you have only one thing to take away today, it will be innovate with the young people and not just with them, from the idea to a product launch. But wait, do young people have what it takes to deliver tangible value?
That's what you might think, right? Are we actually qualified to be part of that conversation? Yeah. So that might be a question that you have in mind. Like, you might be doubtful about that, but I could give very tangible examples of me going through, seeing how our incubator delegates have evolved throughout our journey and like the experience that we designed for them. So just to give a few examples, these are some products or product ideas that came out of the incubator process. And keep in mind, these are kids or like youth ranging from 12 to 21, but I'm going to precise their like age range right here.
Yes.
So the first product is Eden, and this is an application that scans. Okay, basically you could take this on your mobile phone, and then you could scan whatever like you have in your fridge as leftover. And if you don't want to you don't know what to make, this app generates like recommendations of recipes that you can make with the leftover food that you have, instead of having you throwing them away and wasting your money on stuff that you didn't even use, right? I think this is such a genius idea. And then a bunch of like 16 to 17-year-olds wrote this. Like they were still in high school, like not even in stage yet. And they made this entire like, the screen mock-ups that you see right here, the UI, and they showed me, I remember during the time where like they presented this to me, and I was just like mind blown, because I would never have thought of something like this before.
Yeah.
So this is just one example.
Yeah.
The next one is Trashy. And Trashy is an app that scans, like, let's say you have an item that you don't know if it's like recyclable plastic, or like if you could put it in the compost, or you just don't know what to do with it when you want to dispose it. Then you scan the barcode just like that, and it tells you automatically if you're supposed to be throwing in the garbage bin or the recyclable bin. It's very genius. And you can see, I'm actually going to come back to it, but both of these products are eco-friendly or have that as a mission.
Yeah. To remember you, the context, it was working on retail innovation and the circular economy. Yeah. So with a social innovation mind that was, core to all the decisions that they were actually making.
Yeah. And lastly, we have Pack Zero. And okay, so this is very special because they actually made their like prototype,
this
which
is
we
real
have with us right now. So Pack Zero is a B2B biodegradable packaging that's launched through our program. And these are, I remember them being like 13 to 15 years old, which is insane because, having them believe in such a product and putting in so much effort to actually produce like a prototype, this really shows that they have the holistic mindset of they want to help the world and they understand how business works and how, they just want to own their project and make an impact. Yeah. And I remember asking them after, like, what do you want to do with Pack Zero, like after that? And I remember the founder saying, like, I definitely want to launch like a business in the future.
Yeah.
And
they are.
I think they are, yeah.
They are. I'm telling you, they are. And what you see here on the left is actually their production line. They're 15, right? This is real. It's happening, and it's biodegradable.
Definitely. So these are just some examples, right? 3 teams or 3 business ideas out of 20 that came out in just like one weekend. So
absolutely
insane. So
our last words of wisdom for your organization and you as individual to succeed will be: first, assess your future readiness. Understand where you stand today, where you need to maybe go further in terms of skills, how you can empower your people. Invest in building those skills needed for real intergenerational collaboration. And please be intentional with spaces for innovation, whether it's an incubator or whatever it is. Think about spaces that actually really foster innovation, right? And it includes processes and mindset and everything. Do you have questions for us?
Let's check the chat right now.
Let's check the chat.
Which I'm not sure how to navigate either.
Yeah.
Here, chat, I guess. There you go. I could see it.
Ooh, questions.
All good now. So we do have one.
We do have one question. Yeah. Well, we do have some questions. Thank you. One of them is kind of, bigger than the other one, I would say. I will try to concise the question. Yeah. How do you think they will kind of interact and be, I don't know, how can we say that? Okay. Do you have any advice for managers of this new generation? Like, wait, we can say that way.
Yeah, sure.
Whew. Big question. I would say first, maybe something that pops up that is really like clear to me is their adaptability. It's crazy how fast they think, how fast they adapt themselves to anything. They are not scared of things that you might be scared of, and I'm including myself. So it is actually crucial and essential to let them express their ideas, their creativity, how they can help. They are super solution oriented. It might be sometimes a bit hard for us. We don't want to lose our face. We're like maybe managers, like, but that's the way they are, and it's not about you. It's the way they are actually, thinking thinking about how, resolving problems, solving problems. They're really into problem solving. I guess I see questions pumping up, new questions. Aurélie, do you have something else to add?
So there's a question.
Yeah, how can CEGEPs and universities best support and empower Gen Zers?
That's such a great question. I could answer that. So I actually had in one of my classes, like the McGill Dobson Center for Entrepreneurship come in and like asking our strategy class about something, which is how can our strategy class actually help the Dobson Center evolve as like the center that's like very, very well known if you know the center, but that's not very well known to like other parts of the university as students. And I feel like the Dobson Center is something that's super relevant to people that are entering the university. And it's also something that they can do to engage the Gen Z as well. So really for CEGEP and university students to support, I think the traditional like institution is definitely a good solid method to support us fundamentally. But now that we crave more than just this kind of formalized education process, is really to invite and keep an open mindset and invite, other organizations that share this mindset that's common to like Gen Z and that's very welcoming, and bridging them and making them make appearances within the university or the CEGEP, and having us just go on like one-on-one interviews or like networking talks with them, and just fostering this culture of like, let's have a conversation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is related actually to, thank you for this question, Tanya. This is related to what we do at UpstartED, and the magic that happens as soon as you connect the education ecosystem to the rest of the world. Because, the education ecosystem and schools and everything, they do want more exposure, more connection to the world out there, but it's not that easy. You have your stuff to do, and you as teachers probably are suffering a lot from time pressure and administration and everything. So having people from the outside being able to connect you and offering opportunities for your students to be exposed to that reality out there is really important. And that also reminds me of why Abdal and Jana founded UpstartED, because at the end of their after graduation they went for the jobs, and they were like, we're missing something here. And at some point they came across the startup weekend, and they were like blown-minded by that. They were like, oh my god, why is that not even in the curriculum? Why am I not, why am I discovering the whole startup ecosystem and how it works now that I'm 20 something,
like out of university, right?
Out of university.
So I think it's a really good question.
Yeah.
And I think,
do we still have time for another question?
We have another question, but I feel like we have the answer in our next section as well, which is, how do you recommend we start with one of those Gen Z projects?
That is a perfect segue.
It's a perfect segue, yeah. So let me put us up.
Yeah, we we talked a lot about how the need for companies to train and to upskills. So we're actually hosting a design thinking discovery session for our session November 1st. It is a good introduction to this amazing human-centric innovation methodology that help actually individuals and organizations to better co-create and problem solve together by being really focused on the human behind the problem. So that's one thing. The second is, stay tuned, because we're actually building and releasing in 2 weeks a tool called the Future Readiness Assessment Tool that you will be able to download and use for free to assess where you stand today. Where are you today in terms of skills and capabilities, and where do you need to improve? And then, of course, we're here to help. We can design innovation services for you and tailored learning program. So you'll receive actually a recap email with everything that we said, all the references that we've used, everything. So you'll have all that you need to stay in touch with us.
Yeah, and in terms of staying in touch, feel free.
Yes.
This is a conversation, right? So we want to keep this ongoing, not just for this hour that we're hosting the webinar for. We want you guys to tell us, like, what do you think of the session? What did you take away from this?
Yes.
And if you want to have a discussion or a conversation and talk about these issues, please feel free to come to us. We have a website. We also have social media accounts.
Social media.
Yes, that will all be sent to you in our email. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we wanted to leave you on that note with this quote from the CEO of Burning Glass Technologies, which is, "Your organization is moved by the skills that you have. The evolution of individuals in a company ultimately translates to the evolution of a company." Thank you very much for being with us today, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Bye. Have a good